everybody. Welcome to Market Moves. I'm Jason, the Wizard of Ops, and with me, as always, is Jay, who is Dark Matter. Jay, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing amazing. We got our first freeze overnight, so we're getting ready for winter, clearly. So,
Yeah,
how's
there goes
everything
all
with
the
you?
lantern flies. They die in the
I'll
first freeze.
thank God for the winter finally for something positive. Like, I will take that statement all day, every day, because they were wild this year,
Yeah,
just too
there was a
wild.
lot of them here in Northern Virginia this year. They were like climbing on top of each other to eat our trees. We had actually a
Yeah.
neighbor who sprayed that like spray glue on his tree, and then like a bunch of lantern flies stuck on it. And then I have no idea who they are, but then they sprayed those lantern flies with the glue, and then there was like lantern fly on top of lantern fly. It was pretty gross.
That does not sound fun.
No,
Although I
it
experienced
sounded
similar.
fun. It looks
Yeah.
really gross.
Yeah.
Back to the markets.
Yes.
Yeah, we could be done with that. Um,
Yeah.
so Jay, last week, man, it was a crazy week. We up and then a big spike down, and then we're climbing back into all-time highs. This is a really interesting market for us because it is reverse kind of Jack's outlook. What are you planning? What are you seeing?
Yeah, I mean, just to go into last week for a minute here, we'll jump into the trade plan for this coming week. But I would say even going into last week, just levels are levels, right? And we have to respect them is, what I'm about to get into here. And I think one of the things we said was that, let me scroll down here. Uh, One of the biggest things we said last week was to treat kind of the 66, 65, 70 region. We did get an overshoot of it last week with the Trump tweet, but it held, right? And I think, where I'm going with this is you'll kind of see these large gamma pins form, and you'll see volatility start to compress after some vol event on the week occurs, right? And from there, it's just like a snapshot, just releasing you back, right? And I think clearly for me, I'm treating this like the 21 market, just on it. Like there's going to be shallow dips, is how I look at it, and you're just going to keep springboarding up. It's like the NFT craze, right? NFTs and blockchain. This, like, I think we're back into that kind of a euphoria, right? Of a market means we're going to go higher. I've already hit my 6,800 on the year, which we did earlier today or overnight in action. I think this is a tough market to like just be trend following. You're going to kind of see these spikes up and down in these gyrations, and I think this week you're going to see a little bit of that as well. We're almost at the top range of the what the market makers expected. So I think there's a lot of volatility still in here, although we're compressing more and more, but volatility is still high, which will make those ranges, rather extreme looking. So to me, it's buy the dips is what I've been looking at, and I will continue to look for those dips to buy. And last week we got presented one, it overshot a little bit, but that was a present, is how I looked at it. So I'll quickly pause before we get into this week's trade plan. But any thoughts there was?
Yeah, actually, I think we're kind of getting toward the top of the euphoria. I think that we are seeing very strong negative Vanna, and that has kind of evolved over the past several weeks. And getting into that regime is really what kind of causes this euphoria, these pile ups. We have seen also extreme spot vol betas. So that means that typically VIX will react about 0.7 points for every 1% in the underlying. And we're seeing double that on both down and up. So down, VIX goes up more than it should. Going up, VIX goes down more than it should. And it's been like that now for the past couple of weeks. There's something evolving in the option space and in the option pricing space. I think right now the market is digesting it. We are beginning to get vols down to closer to where realized vol is. Vols have been overpriced as far as daily and weekly and monthly tenors have been pricing way too high. Like we've been looking at realized vols in like the 8 to 10% area, and VIX has been like in the 16, 17, 18 area. I think just now we dropped below 16 for today. But that's a huge gap. And it's mostly in the skew. It's mostly in the tail. So that's where we should see a lot of premium selling. And if you go into Volland, that's what you see. You see a lot of premium selling way out in the wings, and you see not a lot of, you could say, jacks or whatever, the call selling, put buying. You don't see a lot of that except for in very, very close tenors. For that reason, I kind of think that we are going to be destined for a drop. I think that I'm not saying it's sell the rip necessarily, because we are still kind of piling higher and higher, but it is the downside is coming, right? To me, that's what I see. I'm also kind of a little bit more of a longer term than you are. So this week you might be right. Even like into FOMC, I think FOMC is going to be a critical point. If that turns out to be a turning point, we could be going down for a very long time.
Well, and I think what's also important there is we haven't had a lot of data get released, right? So if you see that data start to come in and it formulates a different view of the world, let's say, I think that is a major risk, no doubt. This government shutdown has now lasted, about a few weeks. Does it continue? What is its impact, right? So there are definitely some catalysts, let's say, adding up to it. End of the year as well, right? I think right now for me, like this is just a good study that I kind of found over the weekend, was just the average bull market, right? I think as much as we could even see a drop, right? I think we also have to be careful not to get too bearish in the interim, right? Is that markets can keep going up and it will make no sense to any of us. Like 21, in my opinion, is a great example of that, right? We kept going up, right? And then finally came January of 22, and we started what I think was maybe potentially a recession back then, but we didn't classify it a recession. We dropped majorly, right? From 4,800, if I remember, I think it was 30 some and change that we dropped to, right? So I still think I'm of the opinion that this bull market can continue. It is a little bit stronger than I even thought, right? In my opinion. This week will highlight some of that. How is the consumer doing versus how is the enterprise doing? I think that is going to be kind of the tell-all, right? Is that you're going to see some of those consumer stocks, hey, we're doing fine, but like watch out, right? And then you're going to see enterprise like we're doing great. And I think that's the difference here, is that the consumer is not leading this bull market. It's AI, cloud computing, technology, right, et cetera, et cetera. And I think as long as you don't see any weakness in those spaces, I think you're going to continue to see this bull run continue. Now, let's see how cloud computing shows this week, and we'll jump into that in a moment. But your thoughts there?
Yeah, no, I agree that it's been business investment that has driven the economy at all. And because of business investment increasing market caps of cloud and AI, then those market caps have gotten the richer, I guess you could say, right? Anybody who's invested heavily in markets has seen their income increase quite a bit. I do think, though, that that's why I think the FOMC is a big day, because already Jerome Powell has been talking about a weaker economy, like and stagflation. And Jerome Powell and all the other Fed governors, except for Steve Million, they have been painting a more bleak picture. And I think if Jerome Powell comes out on this Wednesday, and paints a little bit of a bleak picture, gets very hawkish on the economy, even if he's cutting rates, gets very hawkish on the economy, talking about a slowdown, or, God forbid, he says the R word. I think and I think also Jerome Powell is going to rail on the government shutdown and talking about how their data sources have decreased and how they've become unreliable. I think that may be a bearish sentiment. So overall, I think, and all that being said, maybe that doesn't even do anything to the markets, and the markets will continue to whipsaw. But I think that the sentiment that Jerome Powell can try to put out there and be a lot more overt about is that's a possibility that we can't discount.
Yeah,
I don't think he will say that, I don't think he'll go dovish. I think if it's dovish, it's going to be like a warning dovish. Like we're cutting rates, but only because we know things are going to get bad, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
Might
I
be
think
short-term sentiment there that's bearish, right? And I think as William has put in the chat here, I think it's with zero DTE, the market has found ways to suppress volatility as well, right? And so, to a certain extent, they're finding ways to suppress the volatility. I think that's ultimately what happens. You have a good sell maybe this week, you find support, and you kind of, bounce right out of it until we get to end of year. So I'm with you. Let's jump into maybe some of the data and let's look at what this week looks like for us. Let's jump in. So, I was slightly bullish, obviously, before this trade talk gave us roughly about a 56-point gap up here in the ES. So for those of you living under a rock, I guess we had another taco trade like situation here. So Trump is feeling better about his trade talks after this week in Asia, with China including. They officially still need Xi's signature on whatever trade talks that they agreed upon. But the market felt happy about that sentiment over the weekend. We're now looking at about a 56 point, almost 1% increase this morning in the ES. So what else are we going to look at for this week to see what movement we get? Well, as you said, again, I just note any of these reports here, they're not going to come out because of the government shutdown, but the FOMC interest rate decision will still be occurring on Wednesday. So that is essentially your biggest factor. And then I believe on Friday, we will still get the University of Michigan kind of inflation and consumer sentiment reports as well. So those are going to be important because, to your point, does Powell come in, hey, I don't like how the economy is, but I don't have the data? Then you get the Michigan sentiment. It's like consumers don't feel happy. It's just something to watch for between those two things. But outside of that, we have a slew of earnings this week, which is also going to gyrate the market up and down. A few of those just to call out here while we're at it, Wiz. PayPal, UPS. I think these are going to be, especially UPS will showcase and highlight some of the consumer market, how it is doing. Are people still buying and shipping things? I am kind of curious, like SoFi was one of those, I'm not looking to trade, but I'm just kind of curious from like those separate bank-like stocks, right? What it's, people who are not paying their bills or things of that nature. It'd be kind of curious to see how they report tomorrow. And then I would, Visa for me, Seagate here. Then we've got kind of the Max 7s and Boeing. You got Meta, Microsoft, Alphabet, Amazon, and Apple and Coinbase to round out the week. And I know a lot of us in the Discord talk about Lilly. That is also trading Thursday as well. A pause. Your thoughts?
Well, my first thought is everybody who's watching. I mean, I do Substacks for earnings reports. I have not looked at any of these individually yet, but I will be. If you have a request of any of these that you want to see in the Substack and you want to see a Volland analysis of, please put it in the comments and I will make sure I get to it. Overall, I will be doing those 5 out of Mag 7 right there. Apple, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, Alphabet. I'll definitely be doing those. And I'll probably do Eli Lilly because that's our resident fun, I guess you could say, pharmaceutical that we look at thanks to Ozempic, or, I don't know. Have you ever considered Ozempic, Jay, or do you know people who do it?
I mean, there's definitely some folks I know, medical, diabetes, things of that nature, totally makes sense. And some who've taken it, just, for weight loss. And, here, for me, it's do what makes you happy in life as long as it doesn't medically, hurt you, right? If it makes you happy losing weight, you should do that in your life. So just don't make it crazy expensive, right, for everyone else. I think that's just my call out here. Is it's an important drug for both sides of the fence. I'll leave it at that. I'm going to stay Switzerland
for the cosmetic and the medicinal.
That's right. I'll stay Switzerland on that answer.
Yeah, I honestly, I have no comment. I've never tried it. I just see ads for it, and I just haven't really thought about it. And I've got my dad bod, but I don't care. So, I mean, I work out a little bit, so I keep it down. I keep it reasonable, and I don't drink. So, but yeah. So again, if anybody out there has any ideas of what you want to see in an earnings report, and you're subscribed, these are paid Substacks for doing earnings, so let me know and put the ticker in the comments and I will make sure I get around to it. So
usually all right. It's a good one too.
Which one?
I said usually it's a good one when you do your review. I love kind of
last week we nailed Netflix.
Yeah.
Netflix did well, and also my Tesla. I said I wouldn't do any moves, but I kind of saw downturn, and I think it went down and then up. Right? It just kind of started bouncing back and forth, and so I think Tesla. I just wasn't that interested. I see CBOE is in there. That's they provide our data, so hopefully they're going to get a bump in their earnings because of Volland.
That's right. There you go.
All
right. Weekly options expected move 111 points. Kind of continue to hold on to those triple digit numbers on the weekly expected move. So that puts you at 6902 roughly to the upper.
Not anymore.
The upper
now it's like 6950.
6680 here to the downside. To your point. Yeah, I'm with you, and you'll kind of see with the plan here. I think we might be stretching some of that upper range, but let's not guess. Let's get into the trade plan. So, what changed from last week? So I think we started to see some gamma built up in the 75 to 6,800 region here. You'll continue to see that build up, I'm sure, after the market opens up here today. I've not gone into Volland just in a minute here, so we'll look at overnight action, how that's played out. But we've started to see some, as we shifted above 6,800 and hold it, you'll start to see some positive beta there. And then more importantly, from a volume profile, we started to create even more consolidation in that kind of 6,700, 65, 6650 range last week. And I think this week it comes down to volatility for me. We continue to press below, and this is VIX futures here that I'm kind of looking at from a number standpoint. For me, as long as we're below 19 on the VIX futures, I think volatility is going to be compressed. Those are dips to buy in my honest opinion here. If you do start to see the VIX future take out 19 again, roughly it's at 18 right now. You're going to start to see that volatility come back into the market and a little bit of selling. in terms of kind of like my key levels, and let me first go with the ranges here, and then I'll jump into the specific areas. But I was originally looking for support to come in, this week here if we didn't get the trade talks, kind of in the 67.20, 67.50 zone here, Wiz. For ES, that's roughly about 32 points more. So this has been an update since then, but it's about 32 points more your ES numbers. So that was the first area of support. My kind of call it the balance area on the week where I thought, we would come in and the dealers were going to keep us is between the 67.75, 68.20 range. So that's where I saw balance, from gamma. And then resistance is a 68.30, 68.55. We have rejected 68.55, just FYI, in overnight futures action. That was kind of a little bit of the top there. That's the zone you got to clearly take out. You want to see volatility compressed, no negative news. You get that range taken out, you're on your way to 6,900, if not higher. I think at this point in time, if we hold 6,800 through this week, in my opinion, you're not looking any lower. And if anything, I think you're going to go to what I'm now calling my new price target on the year, 70.50, 7,100. Just wait it out until it gets there or close to there. And then I think you're going to have a shebang moment at the end of that. And then you maybe put on some shorts. But that's quickly my thesis. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I will have to tell you that I don't necessarily agree.
I know. So first time I think we're going to disagree.
I
That's
know.
what I'm
I don't
like, oh,
necessarily
man.
agree with you. I am not in the buy the dip camp. I'm not necessarily in the sell the rip camp either, because I think that between 68 and 6,900, I think that it's a flat zone. We can bounce between those two levels quite a bit. One thing I will say is that the Volland outlook has changed daily. Recently, we released 2-minute updates for all tiers, and that we've needed every minute, because last week, in the beginning of the week, we saw bullish for the week and then maybe bearish out into November OPEX. I still kind of see that bearish out into November OPEX, but the bullishness as we rose up, I think starting on Wednesday, as we started going up, that bullishness started to wane a little bit. I guess it expended, whatever. And the next week, Volland is now looking at 6,900 as the breakout level. Like if we get over 6,900 and we keep going, we're going to keep going, and it's going to be quite a bit. The one I would look at here, go back. The one I would look at, right, the cumulative on the right side, right above where you expanded.
Just right
that
here.
one, yeah. So right there, you see that little mountain there are sold calls. People are selling calls on a weekly basis, not on the larger scale. On the larger scale, people are buying calls and selling puts. That's what that huge slope is down below. For me, I think that if we start getting past 6,800, the other side, I think once we start getting past 6,800 to the downside, those are not those are not dips to buy. I think between 68 and 69, it's like we could go back and forth like those pinballs on the little spring things, go bing, 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 bing. Like we could go fast and hard, 50-point gaps and all that kind of stuff. If we get over 6,900, we're running, and we're going to run probably pretty hard for a little while. And then on the other side, and it's going to be gamma negative. You see right there, all that red Vanna right there is also red gamma. Mm-hmm. And we can run fast on either side. But if we get down below 6,800, I think that it could be a very swift drop down to 6,700. And then we're looking at 2022, where it's a slow grind down, because that's where we're positive gamma, but we're still in negative Vanna. And I think that vol regime could come back. And and this is also not today. I'm kind of looking more into the future. The November, even December OPEX I could see, it'll start with a sharp drop, scare everybody, and then probably pop a little bit. We might have had that sharp drop already 2 Fridays ago, 3 Fridays ago. I don't know, some number of Fridays ago. And then that 2.75 bounced a little bit. Now we bounced quite a bit. And, it could kind of start seeing downside. So honestly, like from I guess you could say a swing standpoint, 2 to 6 week, I don't necessarily agree. I think I'm a little bit more bearish. I think we're reaching a top. But hey, that's if we didn't have two sides of the of the coin, then we wouldn't have a trading, right? We wouldn't have liquidity.
Yeah. No, and I think there's also going to be a couple and I'm dead on that the risk exists there, right? You can clearly see that in the Vanna. I think if I'll let it load up here while it's loading. If we look at the Gamma, I think those are the couple of the areas that I'm looking at. Is that what I've seen is we kind of come into like an area of especially negative Vanna over this run. There's a couple things I'm seeing is that there's a gamma pin typically in that area, right? And then a decision gets made, which is either volatility increases or we get taco, right? And I think that's like we keep seeing that same story here as the market is running to these negative levels or negative Vanna levels, and it's waiting for that catalyst. And the catalyst is, Sunday was Trump and saying, hey, we're good with China. So I'm with you that there is a moment that will come that the market does not like what it's hearing, and it's going to rip, and it's not going to be a good position to be in if you're long. I think we're just not quite there yet. I think let's see how this week, no doubt, goes. I think again, the enterprise is the big thing. I think we're going to continue to see weakness in the consumer. You'll see strength most likely in the enterprise. I think the market's going to have to start digesting. What does that mean? Does that mean it's bearish? Is that bullish? And you're going to start to see the positions come out of it clearly at that point in time. And it's going to show its hand. In my opinion, I don't think I've seen that hand yet, right, Wiz? And I think that's just my thesis that I'm kind of going with is right the hot hand until it's proven wrong, right? I'm not here to tell the market whether it's at the top or the bottom. I'm Remora, right? I just follow essentially for what the market's going to do. I just follow the big fish, the big whales.
Yeah. Personally, I what I kind of look at is I look at just what the Volland outlook looks like, and I determine, hey, are we more likely to go up or down? And I'm not like bearish. I have positions on this week that are now neutral now that we got this 50-point rise. But I have I have butterflies that are on that are quite a bit of positive delta just because I knew that this was a possibility. I did not think that I do think that we are approaching a top, and I'm not, again, I'm not like go long gamma, negative bullish, I'm not there yet, I'm not at the point of throwing, mortgaging your house and going long gamma puts. We're not there yet. But I am seeing signs in the option space and how it evolved over the past 2 weeks to say there's definitely some mispricing. There's definitely some digestion going on from mispricing of the option space. And that's what I'm looking at. So.
Well, and you look at just gamma even right now, just so we can continue here. But if we look at even gamma, I mean, this is a pretty wide range on a week, right? To look at here, and we're gamma. Like we could form some support here, no doubt. So this is an area of interest, but this is not very supportive. And you get any kind of negative news, right? And dealers will want to sell right into it, and it's right into your 6,700. So I think this is just another week here of, I think, up and down, some mean reversion style plays like we have been the past few weeks. And if you see 6,700, I think it's worth a shot. But to your point, look out for the catalyst, right? And this week for me, the catalyst will be earnings, and we'll see what Jerome Powell has to say on Wednesday. But if you expect just one-way action this week, not the market for you. You should probably stay out is
Yeah.
my recommendation.
Or if you're a beginner.
That too. So with that, again, this is before we had a 50-point gap up, right? So like, let me adjust here a little bit after today, but I think we're at the upper range of the move this week. I would love to see some sort of sell-off. My base case was that we would get up to 68.20 and kind of, consolidate around there and then find our way back down below 6,800, right? So that was my original thesis. I think I want to see how today's morning action opens up and we go into the end of the day. I think I want to see updated positioning, but I would say right now I'm cautious, especially at the highs here. I would love to see a little bit of a pullback based on some of the 0 DTE data that I was seeing earlier. I'll let that load up here, but Wiz, any thoughts on your end that you want to
I
chime
kind
in
of
here?
thought consolidation would be a good thesis, at least into FOMC, probably not for the week, but FOMC I think is going to be a big deal. I do think that I don't think there's going to be a change in how interest rates are going to be cut, or I don't think we're going to see a pivot there, but I do think that we are going to hear some opinions on the economy that are a little bit stronger than what we've been hearing before. So, all right.
I'm with
So
you.
we haven't had any. Go ahead. What?
No, I was going to say I'm with you. I think intraday, just, what I was looking at is obviously this 55-60 zone that I think, or 50 to 60 zone. I think that will, if you get out of that, you're getting to, 68.75 here based on what we're looking at on Charm. Otherwise, I'd love to see a retracement back to 6,800. So I'll let you chime in, but today you could still see, just don't go too bearish immediately today. It's just my call out. Like, the market is going to shock you. And if you jump in immediately into shorts, especially on a 0 TT basis, you might get ramrodded here pretty quickly today.
Ramrod. You watch Super Troopers? All right.
No, yeah.
All right.
That show, man.
All right. Let's see. William Y. What'd you say?
I said movie, not shows. What I meant to say.
Yeah. William Y. He agrees with you completely on the whole consumer enterprise thesis, and you're right. He's right. He's also asking about the 11/1 trade deal deadline. Wasn't that just called off?
Well,
that was a Sunday thing, right?
Well, I think this is where, like, taco, right?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna call it taco. Like, yeah, the trade deadline is 11/1, and while over the weekend there was good talks, I think even Trump tweeted or posted whatever they do on Truth, right? They truth it. Is that it? Is that what they call it?
It's socialized.
Yeah. Anyway, he posted, like, all this good information, I think, and then like there's like the fine print or the healthcare ads, right? Like, disclaimer, Xi still needs to sign, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I think there's like a gotcha. And so I'm with William here. Like, I don't know, William, like, it seems cool for now, but if Xi comes back between now and the end of the week not happy with something, I guess not taco then.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, it's funny. Before we go, happy Halloween to everybody who celebrates. My son is going as a taco. It is a
nice.
It is the same
Correlated?
son that what? It's a little bit related, but it's funny because it's the same son who back in I guess, I don't know, children of the year. I think he was like 2 years old when we were not convinced that Trump was a serious candidate for president, and we dressed up our kids as Jeb Bush and Donald Trump because he had the blonde hair.
And
I was
awesome.
like, and we didn't think he was like we thought it was kind of just a joke, but turned out to be a lot more serious. And when we were taking them around, they were saying, our neighbors were like, "Yeah, Trump, yeah," and we were like, "Wait a minute, what?" Wait, people are taking him seriously? Wait.
Yeah, I know.
It was the first sign to me. I was like, oh, this could actually happen.
You should have done the polling for that election. It would have been a lot more accurate.
We'll call it the Halloween poll.
That's
All
right.
right, everybody. Again, happy Halloween. Look out for my earnings Substack, and may Volland help you in your future trading ventures.